I'm just kidding. I don't need to trade right now. I'm not an addict, I promise. This video is going to talk about just a lot of the lessons that I've learned over the past quarter of a century now that I've been a trader and now 15 plus years as a teacher, and I see people having the same kinds of problems over and over again. I want you getting views like this. I want this to be your office. I want you to have financial freedom. I want you to be my next millionaire student. Understand, right now, as of the point of this where we're filming in mid-2023, I have nearly 3 dozen millionaire students. They started with 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000. Everyone starts somewhere, but they all followed my instructions. They all joined my challenge. If you click the link below, that's where all my millionaire students are being created, because there's a curriculum, separate chat room. You get all my DVDs, video lessons, live webinars, Q&A, and live trading, and archive webinars. And the cool thing is that because now I have so many millionaire students, we have a great community. The millionaire students are paying it forward. Several of my top millionaire students also give webinars. Tim Grattani, 1,500 now into 15 million. 70 plus archive webinars for you to learn from. His last webinar that he gave, now he's a full-time family man, but his last webinar, he made $300,000 on the day. I said, how are you gonna celebrate? He said, I wanna give a challenge webinar. I was like, fantastic. That's a great webinar to watch if you're in my challenge. Now Jack Kellogg, my latest 8-figure student, he's now over 12 million. He's giving weekly webinars. He just gave a great webinar actually last night while we were here. He made 100 grand on the week. It takes a while to get there. I'm giving you the upside to motivate you to study. Not that everyone's gonna be a millionaire, not that everyone's gonna be my next 8-figure student. I don't know who it's gonna be, but I can make videos like this to try to help speed up your learning curve. So, in this video, I'm gonna show you one of my favorite towns in the world, Positano, Italy. I do have my laptop in case a good trade pops up. I'm always prepared. You might see photos and videos of me with my laptop, but right now I don't see any truly great trades, so we're gonna walk around. Come check this out. All right, let's take it step by step, because there's a whole lot of lessons that I got to teach you. There's a whole journey that you have to go through to get to places like this whenever you want, to get your financial freedom, to earn your financial freedom. So, step number 1, find the best stocks to trade. It's a big problem that there's so many stocks out there. There's literally tens of thousands of stocks. What do you invest in? What do you trade? How long do you hold? What's the goal? What's the risk? You need to have a plan, but first, you need to find the best stocks. I would not trade without stocks to trade software, or specifically stocks to trade breaking news. I love a news catalyst, okay? If I'm trading a stock, I want it to be able to move. I don't have the most patience. You have to find what works best for you. I have students who like holding for a few seconds, a few minutes, a few hours, a few days, a few weeks, a few months. What's your best personality? What's your strengths and weaknesses? I'm not that patient. I'll tell you straight up. I have problems holding a few hours. I'm usually in and out in a few minutes. My best performing strategy is my weekend strategy, where I buy on a Friday, sell on a Monday. And the only reason why it does so well is because I'm specifically locked into a position over the weekend when the stock market is closed. So that strategy actually helps me, overcome my own impatience problems. That's how you have to think. Every single person watching this is a little different. What's your strength? What's your weakness? Finding the best stocks depends on what you like. There's morning spikers that go up 10, 20, 30, 50% between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. Eastern. Do you have time to do that? What's your daily schedule, right? What's your job? Or maybe you're in school, or maybe you have family commitments. Not everyone can trade from 9 a.m. The stock market opens at 9:30 a.m., but I prefer that you start looking at stocks around 9 a.m. It's good to look at it pre-market. Stocks to trade breaking news alerts all the biggest movers pre-market. You have to see when you can trade and when is the best volatility to trade. If you can commit, ideally, in a perfect world, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern, Everything revolves around New York. I'm always, no matter where I am in the world, I'm always working New York hours. Asia's kind of tough. Europe is nice because the stock market opens at like 3:30, 4:30 in the afternoon. But if you can commit 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern, you're looking for the biggest morning spikers, you're looking for the biggest panickers. I'm using Stocks to Trade Breaking News to alert all the news. We'll post a link to Stocks to Trade Breaking News. There's 2 links below, the challenge and Stocks to Trade Breaking News. If you use both of these links, your odds will go up. Look at that. You want to see how cool that is? I got 2 glasses because I'm extra cool. Also, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern in the trading day. The first hour and the last hour. The last hour is often referred to as power hour. There's when you get a lot of moves. You can sit in front of your computer all day. You can become a slave to the market. I know people who get up at 4 a.m. Interactive Brokers allows you to start trading at 4 a.m. Eastern. They get up at 3, 4 in the morning. They're getting their locates. If you want a short sell, they're getting prepared for the 7 a.m., 8 a.m. They like 2 to 3 hours. They do their morning meditation. They do their cold plunges. They do their yoga. They're like looking at a whole watch list. They're in their Discord chat rooms. If you want that, that's fine. I'm not a morning guy. I don't like getting up too early, but I would encourage you to really get up a little early ahead of the market open. Don't get in at 9:29 a.m. and be like, okay, what are we buying? You need to plan, you need to prepare. So I'm looking for the most volatile stocks that are up 10, 20, 30% pre-market or near the market open, or stocks that are dropping 10, 20, 30%. Why do I like the range? Because they can gyrate. It's like a bouncing ball, and you're just trying to make, at least for me, 5, 10, 15%. So if I'm buying a stock, let's say for example, they report good earnings, they have a new billionaire investor, they have a new product coming out, whatever the case may be, they have volume pre-market, trading a few 100,000, if not a few million shares. The stock is in play, it's being mentioned on social media, Stocks to Trade Breaking News alerted it. I might buy 1,000, 2,000 shares and try to make 10 or 15% by 10 a.m. Eastern. That's for me. I like the morning spikers. In different markets, it's a little different. In 2020, 2021, I wouldn't just go for 10%, I could go for 50%. Some of these stocks spike 500% in a day in a specific market. Right now, we're filming this in mid-2023. It should be a slow period of time, but we're seeing a lot of 100, 200, 300% spikers intraday. So you can go for bigger gains. But this is the secret to making millions. You try to make 10, 20, 30% over and over and over again. A few $100s, a few $1,000s adds up over time. Never forget, if you want to make $1 million, it's really 1,000 trades times $1,000 in profits each. Obviously, you're going to lose. I lose like a 30, 35% of the time. But rule number 1 is I cut losses quickly. This is the thing. Finding the best stocks to trade and then trying to, take a piece of the move, and if you're wrong, accept it and move on. That's the beauty of so many stocks. It's bad because most people trade the wrong stocks. They don't focus on the best, most predictable setups, but it's good because even if you screw up, whether you have a small loss, whether you get undisciplined or you have a big loss, even if you nail a play, there's always another stock to trade, then you have to move on. Remember, focus on trying to make 1,000 trades with a goal of making $1,000 on each trade. Obviously, you're gonna lose, like I said, some trades are gonna be bigger than others, but that's the goal, that's the framework. Let's move on. Trying to find the best plays every day. You don't have to trade every day. You don't have to trade 24/7. You're trying to lock in a few $100 or a few $1,000s. I have more technical videos. This is just a general overview. Number 2 though, you get addicted to trading. Trading is gambling, it's addictive. Just like I'm addicted to caffeine and sweets. You have to watch out for how many coffees you have or how many sweets you have. You have to watch out for how many trades you take. You might look, why is Tim always traveling? Why does he brag about this? First of all, I love traveling. I'm from a small town in Connecticut, but also it helps me with my over trading. If I don't travel, even though I'm always prepared to trade, even though I have my laptop, which is getting too hot in the sun right now, even if I have all these potential trades, I usually take too many. It's addictive when you especially start winning, you want more and more money, and you have to cut yourself off. Not that you're gonna win every time, but you start seeing patterns that aren't there. This is how crazy trading can be. It's not an exact science. you have to find your happy medium. This is why I often say that 2K a day keeps a real job away. You can go out and live. You don't have to aim to make 2K if you're trading with a small account. Maybe it's 200 a day. But you're trying to get into a process that's repeatable. Not too repeatable. Like, this is the problem. Everyone's like, oh, okay, 2K a day, that's my goal. 200 a day, that's my goal. Sometimes I make zero. There's no good trades. Sometimes I think there's a good trade and I lose and I have to cut losses and I'm actually down on the day. And it's hard for people to accept that because we go to a job, we normally get paid hourly, weekly, monthly, whatever. When you put in the time, you expect to get paid. Trading, not so. You can put in the time, but if you don't have the right plan, if you don't have the right discipline, you might lose money and you lose time. Lose. So you feel cheated. You also might plan well, study well. Like I always say, I'm a glorified history teacher. If you study the past enough, let's say you're prepared enough, and you put in very little time into your trade, and you make more money in one trade than most people make in a week or a month or a year. So trading is very, very finicky. You have to find your happy medium. Do not overtrade. A lot of people just look at every single stock and they're trading this, they trade that. Brokers give them leverage. There's so many chat rooms that have affiliate deals with brokers and prop firms. They're sharing in your commissions. They don't care whether you make money or lose money. They just want to keep giving ideas and ideas and ideas. It's not about quantity of ideas, it's quality. And I know in the beginning, you don't know what a good setup is, what a bad setup is. That's why I prefer you to study more. You're not the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You're the average of everything that you study. The more you study, the better prepared you are. In a perfect world, you don't need anybody else. You don't need any friends. You're okay with being lonely. You're okay doing this all from your home or wherever. You can even be homeless, but you're studying so much that you build up your knowledge account. Remember, you have 2 accounts, your knowledge account and your brokerage account. You need to have so much in your knowledge account that it overflows and you just have so much preparation, discipline, knowledge that it's inevitable that your brokerage account is going to grow because you're so well prepared and you execute your plan. Unfortunately, most newbies don't study enough, they don't prepare enough, they want money right away, they're chasing other people's picks. Never follow anybody else's alerts. Why do I even alert? Because I want to teach you the process, I want to teach you the mindset. I would rather you undertrade. If you have under $25,000 and you're under the PDT rule, you can only do a few day trades per week. That's more than enough. Quality over quantity in trading. Too many newbies trade too much. They trade random setups, bad setups, and they lose. And they churn and burn their accounts. Do not overtrade. Go out and live life or study more, but either way, be very picky with your trades. So you want to pick the best stocks. You don't want to overtrade. Find like 1 or 2 stocks per day, which is my average, and then let your gains compound over time. And understand that, you know, when you have a small account in the beginning, you don't really know what's going on, you don't have that many options, that's fine. It's always hardest in the beginning. I often say that it's a marathon and not a sprint. Too many people want big money right away. They want success right away. They're not willing to lay a foundation off which they can build later on. Look at this. This is the most famous view in Positano. It's perfect. This wasn't built overnight, okay? Positano was a sleepy fishing village a few decades ago. John Steinbeck wrote about it, blew up, all the celebrities started coming, and now, you know, people see how beautiful it is. But it takes time. And all of my millionaire students, again, if you click the link below, apply for my challenge, you can not just get access to all of the content that my millionaire students have, but you also get access to them because they're giving live webinars, they're in the special challenge chat room, and you can see their whole journey. And I encourage you to go through all of my 30+ millionaire students' journeys. You can see their trades, yes, but if you're in the challenge, you can see their archived chat. It's actually pretty amazing. I was giving a webinar the other day, I was showing Jack Kellogg some of his early trades. Up until 2019, he had only made a little money. 2020, he made several million. 2021, he made several million more. Now he's learned the process. But until you learn the process of how to make 1,000 or 10,000, you're not just gonna go from 0 to 1 million. Jack Kellogg actually lost 2,600 year 1. Tim Grittani, my other 8-figure student, made nothing year 1. But year 2, year 3, they learned what not to do from their early losses, from their early wins. You gotta recognize that this whole thing is a process and you gotta stay in the game. I know people don't wanna hear it. Also, it's a changing market, so not every year is the same. You can't be like, Jack Kellogg did this year 1, year 2, year 3. Everyone is a little different. I give you these guys as a guide, okay? My first female millionaire student, she didn't even have a brokerage account. Mari, for 1 year, she just studied from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. because if you join my challenge, you get a ton of educational info. I wish more people could be that patient. I wish that more people didn't focus on the money right away. I get it, it's only human nature, but in the beginning, the money that you make or lose is negligible. And I wanna be upfront about this because you're learning the process. It's good to learn how to lose $50. It's good to learn how to lose $100. Some people don't like that. If you look at Twitter, everyone makes a lot of money. They post big screenshots. They're not focused on the process. They're using too much risk. They're using too much leverage. There's a saying, a fool and his money are soon parted. A lot of people who made money in 2020, 2021, they thought the world had changed. They thought that rules didn't matter. They lost most or all their money in 2022, 2023. In 2020 and 2021, when I'm teaching these conservative rules and the foundation and the process, everyone's like, shut up, you boomer. There's so much money to be made. And it was actually tough for me to teach good, reasonable rules, which would have saved people. But when you make too much money, it clouds your judgment. A lot of people, especially in crypto, thought that they knew better. They thought that history didn't apply to them, and it did. And it's been a nasty few years, and it's a wake-up call. I don't want to say I told you so, but I did, okay? You want views like this, you want something amazing, whether it's not just architectural views, but like you want to build a foundation of knowledge. As I always say, you have 2 accounts, knowledge account and brokerage account. You're not just going to learn advanced trading when you don't have the basics first. If you click apply now below in the challenge and get in there, there's a lot of basic stuff. It's good to go over that. It's good to learn that. Even if you know it, it's good to review it. Trading is not rocket science, but it is difficult to control your emotions and discipline and stay kind of like on the right track. I know a lot of people get off the right track with too much money or too many losses, and it clouds their judgment. That's why I say rule number 1 is cut losses quickly, so you're always in the game. No loss is gonna take you out. And I oftentimes take profits too soon too. This is my own personal failing. I'm impatient, I'm greedy, I'm undisciplined sometimes. I like locking in a few hundred or a few $1,000s. I feel good about myself when I should hold it. And sometimes, you know, this is what my 8-figure students have, which I don't. Both Jack Kellogg and Tim Grittani, they go for the jugular. Sometimes they make 50, 100, 200,000 in a day. I've made 50, 100,000, 200,000 in a day, but not anymore. Now I trade very conservatively. You have to find what works for you and build on it. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Remember, good things take time. All right, so we've talked a lot about, you know, just the whole journey as a whole, but also you have to adapt. This is the thing, this is not an exact science. I'm not like teaching a perfect math equation like 5 + 7 = 12. In some markets, this is what's difficult for people to understand. 5 + 7 could equal 14, or 5 + 7 could equal 9. And people are like, what are you talking about? That doesn't make sense, that's not math. The stock market isn't math. And when I say that things add up differently, you have to adjust. Sometimes I size down. I don't take a lot of size because my strategies aren't working well. Sometimes I size up. In 2020 and 2021, I made $1 million each of those 2 years in trading profits, my best 2 trading years ever, because there were so many opportunities. I looked down at my fingers one time when Kyle Williams, one of my millionaire students, just crossed over $1 million. I looked down at my fingers and I was like, I don't have enough fingers to do all the trades I wanted to do. That was a very hot market. And now 2022 was like a terrible year for traders and investors. I was happy just to finish green. 2023, we've had a nice rebound, especially in technology. Every year is different, you must adapt. Speaking of, I've been holding this laptop in the sun. I gotta put it in the shade for a second, because it's overheating. Pascal's camera was overheating. Does it still say overheating or no?
No, we're good right now. Yeah.
You gotta adapt. You can't just be rigid and say, no, this is the one size I'll trade. Like I always buy 1,000 shares, or I always buy 100 shares, or like, you know, this pattern has always worked in the past. Patterns can work for a little bit, they can stop working. This is why it's good to learn multiple strategies. Some people say, okay, Tim, I got it. Your dip buy strategy, that's all I need in life. That's all you need when the dip buys are working, but what happens when dip buys aren't working? We haven't seen that many big morning panics lately in 2023. I missed them. The other day, VFSWW just panicked perfectly and bounced 50%. I missed it. I was out filming videos. A few days before, TTOO dropped and panicked, perfect morning panic, and bounced 50%. I missed it. I was flying from Bali. So there still are some good plays, but you have to be very, very meticulous, especially in 2023. And sometimes, you know, my traveling helps me from over trading, but sometimes I just miss trades. If you do sit in an office every day, you could probably make more, but your life is boring. You never know when to leave, and frankly, like for me, it's a problem because I would overtrade. So you can overtrade, you can undertrade, you can oversize, you can be too conservative, too aggressive. Like there's so many different moving parts, and what you have to understand is that it's just a process, and you have to learn, and there's different parts for you, like in different parts of your journey. Sometimes in your journey, like you might want to size up later on after you have a lot of experience. In the beginning, you don't have a lot of experience, don't size up. I would rather you trade small. I would rather you even paper trade. You know, Stocks to Trade actually has a feature where you can literally just paper trade. You can literally just not risk any money, and it's just like fake money, but you still get to practice with the volatility. It's not ideal because you don't get the, you know, psychological, emotional education, but you can do that if you want. I encourage you to start smaller. Some people say, Tim, I'm starting with $100,000. I'm definitely going to be your next millionaire student. I just have to grow it 10 times. And I say, no. If you have 100,000, start with 10,000 because you're probably going to lose in the beginning. My top two 8-figure traders both made nothing year one. Jack Kellogg lost $2,600 and he paid several thousand. They each paid several thousand for my challenge. If you do click the link below, understand the challenge isn't free. I have tons of free videos, but the challenge costs money, and we've increased the price because there's so much more as a part of the challenge these days. You have a curriculum, there's actually a whole second portal, there's a second chat room, there's so much that we're doing to help challenge students. But some people don't have money to invest in their education, some people don't want to invest in their education. I can't encourage you enough to trade small, invest in your education, time and money, and you'll reap the rewards over time. But some people don't listen to me. I can just give you these tips. I can't control what you're gonna do. I can't make you, listen. I can't make people study. There's a statistic, sadly, 90% of people with a gym membership don't even go to the gym. How are you gonna get fit if you don't go to the gym? Just paying a monthly membership isn't gonna make you fit. Same thing with my students. I might have thousands of students. Some people say, like, why do you only have a few dozen millionaires? You have to understand that it takes time. It takes time to grow an account, and most people don't study. They don't want to study the past. They don't want to look at a video lesson or a DVD or a webinar from 5, 7, 10 years ago. They think it's irrelevant. It's not. The more you study the past, the better you are prepared for the future. That way you can adapt. It's very nuanced, and the biggest money that you make over time is in the smallest details. So adapt or perish. Learn from the dinosaurs. So in the market, you really have to find what works best for you. Understand that every single person watching this is different. I can't say it enough. I can give you guidelines like, here are the best stocks to trade, here are the patterns that I like, here's the pitfalls of people, but like, you have to experience it and go through it. Like if there's a morning panic, some people might say, wow, this morning panic was great, 50% bounce, but it's too quick. You're not fast enough, it gets easier over time. Some of the best shorts on these penny stocks, which crash eventually, you'll hold for days, weeks, or months. I don't have that patience. So for me, dip buys are better because I'm an impatient guy. If the dip buy is gonna work, it's gonna be quick or not. I'm either gonna cut losses or take my single. It's over within a few minutes or a few hours. Try different stuff. I can't judge what's gonna work best for you, and you can go back and forth. You don't just have to choose one, but you have different strengths and weaknesses, and you have to recognize those and see how it's gonna impact you. For example, let's take this villa right here. This is a beautiful villa right on the rocks. It's got like a little rooftop and everything. It doesn't work for me because we're actually at the bottom of the mountain. The Wi-Fi is terrible. This restaurant right here is highly rated, but it's not that good. Also, I have a lot of like younger adrenaline junkie, energy, risk-taking, loving friends. I guarantee you that even though there's rocks below, even though I would tell them not to jump, I guarantee you that they would be tempted to. If you have a few little wine, like at night, if one of your friends dares you, I don't want to be responsible from somebody jumping from that thing into the water. They'll probably be okay, but why take the risks? This is how I think, okay? It's a beautiful place, but at the same time, the place up above, we have great Wi-Fi, no one's jumping from anything. You know, there's so many like great restaurants nearby, it works better. You just have to judge. Maybe you come to Positano, you want to be closer to the water because like we have a long hike down. It's time consuming. This, you're right on the water. I think you can even like go out the bottom of it, right onto the water. If you love the water, if you don't need Wi-Fi, if you don't eat that much and you like mediocre food, like maybe this place is better for you. You just have to judge, and you really have to think like that, because some people think like, you know, this strategy is perfect for everybody. It's not. There's no one perfect strategy for everyone. There's no magic formula. You really have to judge. But the cool thing is, again, if you study from my 30 plus millionaire students, you can see what's worked for them. They're all different. They all have different personalities. Even though we're trading the same stocks, we're all trading basically on the framework, the 7-step framework. I'll post a third link. First link is the challenge to apply for it, only if you're serious. Second link is Stocks to Trade Breaking News. I wouldn't trade without it. Third link is my 7-step framework, and it's a guide to just seeing how these plays play out over 7 different steps. Whether you like buying initially, whether you like selling into like a crazy run-up, whether you like shorting into crazy run-ups, whether you like dip buying panics. I really think that the majority of these plays follow the 7-step framework, and it's a really good overview just to give you an idea of how hype and emotion plays out with these plays over and over again. It's probably like the best thing I created. But you got to find what works best for you. I have some students who like the number 3, 4, 5 or 6, 7. I prefer the number 5 dip buy. Which pattern do you like best? All right, so we've gone over a lot of the basics, but you don't really make a lot of money with just the basics. You have to size up. And the question is, when do you size up? When are you ready to take it to the next level? The answer for 99.9% of you is not yet. I remember I was sitting in a car in Arizona with one of my new millionaire students, Mike Huddy, and he had been in my challenge for 5 or 6 years. He had been coming to my in-person boot camps for years, and I was like, you know so much, you're my smartest non-millionaire. And this was like mid or early pandemic, and I was like, dude, it's time that you size up. You know what you're doing. It's right. And he was so unsure of himself at the time, and I was like, trust me, I have thousands of students. I don't say this to anybody else because everyone else is unprepared. They don't know the process. They haven't been at it for several years. No one else should size up. Everyone else should size down, but you should size up. And it was, you know, preparation meeting opportunity. He prepared, and there was so much opportunity with the pandemic, and there were so many plays, and he sized up at the perfect time, and now he's up nearly $2 million. And I'm really glad that I had that talk with him. It was one of the best talks, most vital talks of my life, because it was so well timed. I wouldn't size up now for him. I wouldn't size up earlier. It's not the right market now. It's not the right market earlier. Like it was so perfect. And you have to just figure out how much can you prepare. You can't control when the next mania is going to be. You don't know. All you can do is control your preparation. And I hope that the next mania is 2025, 2026, 2027 to give you more time to prepare. Some people say this, they're like, why do you want this? Like, I gave a challenge webinar the other day and I was like, how prepared will you be in 2027? And they're like, what are you talking about? It's 2023, dude. How jet lagged are you? I want you to plan for the future. If you understand, wait a minute, Tim has 30 plus millionaires. If you look at the 30 plus millionaires, how they did it, going from a few thousand to several million in a few years, it's never that they traded big in the beginning. It's that they did all the hard work, they built the foundation, they traded small. Like I said, Tim Grittani, Jack Kellogg, you can see their early trades. They're making and losing $10, $20, $30. But they trusted me, they trusted the process, they sized up later on after they had the data, after they had the experience, after they figured out what they're good and bad at. If you don't know your patterns, if you've never had a 100% winner, if you've never had a $10,000 winner, how are you gonna size up? You don't have the data, you don't have the know-how. You want beautiful views like this, but many of you haven't put in the time to earn it yet. It's perspective. You gotta go through the bad to get to the good. You might have heard the saying, the sweet isn't as sweet without the sour. You have to taste the sour to prepare for the sweet. And trust me, the sweet does come years later through bull markets, through bear markets, if you stick with it. Even if you haven't gotten it, even if the light bulb moment hasn't clicked yet. It's always a pleasure for me when the light bulb moment clicks. Even it can happen on one trade where everything goes according to plan, even if you have too small of a size, but you're like, that's a good trade. That's a perfect trade. And I always say perfection is really difficult, usually impossible, but every now and then, like I said, a broken clock, is right twice a day, but also lightning strikes and you can get close to perfection. I don't want to fill your heads with like this imaginary perfection. It's not always going to be perfect, but it can happen. And in views like this, look at this. We got the beautiful flowers, we got the beautiful views. It's just beautiful, but you have to struggle to get to beautiful places like this. If you watch Lord of the Rings, there's a whole lot of problems before they go off into the magical boat at the end and Frodo can't return to the Shire. Let me just show you the grind here in Positano. Last but not least, you have to have perspective. Listen to the echo here. Look at this. Echo! Echo! Having the right perspective throughout this journey, not expecting too much right away, not getting discouraged by early trades. I can't tell you how many newbies get discouraged when they lose. And I'm like, it doesn't matter whether you make or lose $1,000 in your first day, first week, first month, or even first year. But people don't want to hear that because, again, they want to make money right away. I get it. They're like, oh, trading sucks. I'm so discouraged. They don't say discouraged. They say, I'm so fed up. I'm so angry. I can't believe I missed that. Give yourself some time to learn. Be okay with not making money at first. Again, if you look at all 30 of my millionaire students, you have perspective. Right here, you have the echo. It's cool. We're actually cooling the camera. The camera was overheating. Right out there, if we go into the sun, it might overheat again. We're inside this crazy rock formation. There's a crazy rock hotel right here. I like, showing you this because it's like changing perspectives inside and outside. And that's literally what's going to happen with your journey. Unfortunately, people don't realize it. They just want one size fits all. They want profits all the time. They get discouraged by losses. They get encouraged by gains. And this is the thing too. It's not even just like, okay, Tim, I get it. Like I might lose. I promise not to be discouraged. Even if you win, but let's say you maybe get lucky. Maybe you take too big size. Maybe you gamble. Maybe you break the rules and you still win. You get encouraged by the wrong thing. You put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable. Just because you made money doesn't mean that it's a good trade. Like I said, 2020, 2021, fantastic for making a lot of money. Myself, I had a record year. I created more millionaires that year than any other year. But it also taught a lot of bad lessons. And these hodlers, these undisciplined, just irresponsible gamblers learned the wrong lessons. And I couldn't get through to them because I made so much money. And so they learned those lessons, and those lessons came back to bite them. You can't cheat your education. You can't just be like, oh, I know nothing, but I'm going to get rich. Or I know nothing, or I know very little, and I'm going to stay rich. A fool and his money are soon parted, okay? The market exposes all your weaknesses over time. If you are not properly mentally prepared, then you will lose or underperform or lose whatever early or lucky gains you make. Remember, a broken clock is right twice per day. It doesn't mean that the clock is still working. It just means that you can get lucky sometimes. But you can't mistake luck for skill, and you can't mistake lack of knowledge, lack of preparation for, actual putting in the time and hard work. What I can offer you, some people say, well, okay, so it sounds miserable. I'm going to lose in the beginning. I'm going to have to study a lot. The more you study, the better your odds, but I'm still not guaranteed to make millions. Correct. You got to be realistic about this. I'm in an industry full of snake oil salesmen, charlatans, scams, fakes, and frauds. I'm trying to be real with you. The good news is if you actually do study, if you actually do follow the instructions, if you actually do click the link below and join my challenge, I can help you. I've been helping degenerate traders, degenerate gamblers, undisciplined traders, know nothing, wannabe traders for over 15 years now. I've seen all kinds of students, and that experience has really molded me. And I've become a better teacher, frankly, Your perspective changes based on your experience. My perspective changes. When I first got started teaching, I knew that there was a lot of bad stuff out there. There were a lot of scams. I knew that I had a lot of work to do. I totally underestimated how bad this industry is. I totally underestimated how on the wrong track so many people were. And it's a Herculean task to truly change someone's life through knowledge, through teaching them a process, not feeding them pics, but I'm up to it. And my team is up to it, and my team has been growing, and I've been getting better as a trader and as a teacher. Not getting better as a trader in terms of making more. I actually trade smaller. I now donate all of my trading profits to charity. That's my perspective. My perspective is that trading is boring now because I've done it for so many years. I used to get an adrenaline rush when I had a big game. Now if I have a big game, it means I probably sized in too much. Maybe I got a little lucky. It's not a good lesson for my students. I'm trying to be the best teacher I can. So I trade with a small account. I donate all the trading profits because it makes it more meaningful for me because I know how far the dollar goes, especially worldwide. My charity now has 115 schools as of when we're filming this, but I'm going to keep going. The goal is to build 1,000+ schools. So have the proper perspective, study up. Hopefully these lessons helped you. Leave a comment below if you want more videos like this, kind of a walk and talk. Let's go out into the sun. I gotta finish on a high point. It's kind of sad and depressing. Can they even see me in that tunnel?
Oh yeah.
Am I just a ghost?
Nope.
Here's a little more perspective. This is the second beach of Positano. Far less crowded. Most people don't even know. They don't have the proper perspective. A lot of people who visit Positano, if you've ever been here, or if you come here, you probably only go to the main beach. My parents were here yesterday. We took them to this beach. They've been to Positano like 5 times. They never even knew about the second beach. They never went through the tunnel. They never went the way that we went. Look at this. This beach is like 1/10 as crowded. This is actually my favorite beach, but the other one is where all the tourists are. It's where all the boats are. If you want to go swimming, it's where all the oil is. I prefer swimming over here. The restaurants are better over here too. Perspective. Have the patience to study everything. Have the understanding that it is a marathon and not a sprint. But at the same time, because most people are lazy, because it's not an exact science, there is money to be made if you are better prepared, okay? Trading might be a battlefield, but it's not an unwinnable war. There actually are pockets of opportunity and excessive predictability. Not that you can ever be right 100% of the time, but if you wait for the best setups and you learn what those best setups are, and in the meantime, you're studying or living well, then it's win-win. You live well, you study hard, you make money, you have lower stress. That's today's lesson.